All right, welcome back to another episode of the Bold American Podcast presented by Barstool Sports. I'm battling a cold. I woke up, my chest hurt. I don't usually get colds. And you know what I was just thinking about today? Like I used to say and would love to say, oh, I just never get sick. And then, I don't know, in the last few years, these kids going to daycare, maybe these daycare germs have infiltrated my body and I just don't have the antibodies or what have you to combat those damn daycare germs. So whatever, I got like a cold, a cough. Anyway, we're going to power through it. We're going to talk obviously about the double gold in the Olympics for the men's and women's hockey among all the other sports in the Olympics and wrap that up. President Trump allegedly said he's going to release all the alien files. Last week we had quite the big hullabaloo with the VA releasing and then retracting a rule that would have had significant impact on veterans' benefits. And then our pal Preston Stewart is back. Preston Stewart, as you know, is an Army officer, pals with Rob, and he is a global and political savant, I would say. He has his ear to the ground on all geopolitical issues and current events, and he jumped on with Rob to talk about what's going on in Mexico, what's going on in Iran. I think I say that country wrong. I think it's Iran. Yeah, whatever. I don't know. A lot of people say Iran. Anyway, Preston was great. He joined Rob to chat all things international, and they had a nice conversation. And all of that is going to be brought to you by, you guessed it, BlueChew. Fellas, you already know what time it is. It's time to level up, and BlueChew just dropped something crazy. I'm talking next level, championship belt, gold-plated energy. BlueChew Gold is the newest innovation from the #1 chewable ED brand. This ain't your grandpa's little blue pill. This is the Form 1 beast that's setting the gold standard for performance. We're talking 2 ingredients for blood flow to keep that rocket pumping mixed with apomorphine and oxytocin to turn up the arousal and connection in your brain and body. BlueChew Gold dissolves under your tongue and works in as little as 15 minutes. That means you can get it on quicker and stay in the game longer. Elevation without hesitation. This is peak passion and peak performance in a single tablet. If your bed could talk after this, it'd be asking for a break. So make life easier by getting harder and discover your options at BlueChew.com. And we've got a special deal for our listeners. Get 10% off your first month of BlueChew Gold with code BOLD. That's promo code BOLD. Visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information. And we thank BlueChew for sponsoring the podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, how are we doing? Last 72. Ryan, how are you?
I'm good. I'm just, I'm probably doing the same as you, just battling another Northeast blizzard.
Mm-hmm.
We were texting today. Yeah, we got like close to 20 inches. This snow was better than the last one. The last one we were in like the polar vortex, right? And so it was like 0 degrees. It was like snow, and then it just kind of turned to ice. And frankly, I was out trying to get ice off of my deck yesterday before this snowstorm came in. But yeah, that's kind of been what I've been dealing with over here, shoveling out.
All right. I will say it's definitely different snow, but luckily I got to it earlier in the day because it melted a little bit and then it got heavier because it was a little wet. Yeah. So I was happy that I shoveled late last night and then in this morning and then one more time like late morning.
Here's what I'll say. I shoveled a lot today, and you always see those things about, how you should shovel properly and be careful. And I came in and I was so tired. I ran 5 miles on the treadmill yesterday and I did not feel anywhere like I felt after. Cardiovascularly, I came in and I was like, I'm freaking smoked.
Yeah, but you're doing a completely different exercise that I'm going to venture to say you don't normally do in the gym, right?
No, I don't shovel.
Yeah, exactly. You don't do shovel tosses.
You couldn't just text one of your friends on the O-line at the Eagles to help you out?
Where do we stand on that? Let's talk about that really quickly, because I had a disturbing incident happen today where, my mom's by herself now in her home, and my mom is very capable with it, physically fit, And she likes to get out there when it's not too crazy and doing her own shoveling, but she got over 2 feet of snow. And unless she was going to be out there 18 different times, like she wasn't going to be able to do that. So she needed to get some help. And she has a neighbor, I believe, that sometimes brings his snowblower over, but he wasn't home. So I didn't actually get the details. I don't know if it was kids. I don't know if it was adults. I don't know who it was, but they were just walking the streets and they came by and they offered to plow her driveway. And they're like, we'll do it for $100. Now, mind you, they have a snowblower. Her driveway is the size such that if you have a snowblower, probably doing it in under 10 minutes. So I don't know if they live in her neighborhood or what, but how do you feel about charging folks like my mom, people of a certain age in your neighborhood to snowblow their driveway?
That's a tough one. I mean, I feel like, I don't know. I mean, that's hard. Like, I like the idea of like sending your like 10-year-old kid outside with a shovel and saying,
yes,
hey, go offer. And frankly, they're going to pay you, right? Like they'll give you 5, 10, 50, maybe $20. But like,
right.
I don't know. That just kind of, it feels a little predatory, right? Because
Yes.
they're like seeing an old woman who probably doesn't have another option. I don't know. Yeah.
If it was a couple of 10, 11-year-olds with shovels,
Yeah.
by all means, give them money because I did the same thing. But
Right.
if you're a 20-year-old with a snowblower, like do it out of the goodness of your heart.
Yeah.
Like, what do you really that hard up? But here's what's funny is if you're doing it, and I don't know if this is ageist or what, if you're doing it for like a younger family that just can't get to it, by all means, I think you can take their money because they're willing to pay you. But if you're just going around the neighborhood trying to help people or under the guise of trying to help people and then charging, I don't know. It just didn't sit well with me. But she didn't have a choice.
So she paid
I mean,
$100.
are you driving these?
No,
up
she
and
had
down the road?
80. She had 80 in cash. So she said, I only have 80. So they're like, oh yeah, we'll take that. So $80. I'm telling you, I know the size of her driveway, probably 10 minutes at most, if that. It's not like she has this massive driveway.
My girlfriend, one of my best friends from high school, she's divorced, and she was texting me last night, and she lives alone with 2 kids, and she's like, oh, she had like 3 not random, but like 3 different guys say they would come over and like plow her driveway and stuff. I didn't get any calls, so.
I was going to say something and it would have been inappropriate. So I
was
bit
waiting
my
for you to
tongue.
say it.
No.
I was like, you can send them my way, but yeah, so.
Anyway, that's what we're dealing with, all that snow. And then I guess we're going to get more snow this week. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm supposed to be going on a trip. I don't know if that's going to get impacted or if we can go or not. We'll see.
Are you going somewhere warm?
No, I'm going to Telluride to ski a little bit and just check out that town. And
There you go.
everybody said Telluride's really awesome. I've never been there, so
I don't know.
We'll see.
I'm just telling you, like this winter has really made me contemplate like living full time in the Northeast for real. Like, why do we?
Yeah. Why do you?
You know what though is so funny? I'm a slave to the Time Hop app. People make fun of me all the time, but I look at Time Hop every day. I'm very nostalgic. I like looking at pictures. And I got hit with videos from last year, a year ago, same day. It was perfectly sunny. We were at the park. There was nary a snow mound in sight.
Last year we had a really mild winter, though.
We had a really mild winter, I think, for the last few years.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there were years where I can remember playing golf on New Year's Eve. So, I just think it's a crapshoot. Can you imagine leaving the Northeast and trying to get good pizza down in Florida?
Well, I think that's what it is. I think it's just like the personality of the Northeast is like, it's me. And so it's like you kind of have to take like the shitty weather just to like be with the cool people. That's how I look at it.
Yeah. And I mean, not for nothing, you'd miss going to Eagles games.
No, I would be a snowbird.
Okay.
I would.
So where would you go? Where would you go?
I'd go to Florida.
We're in Florida.
I don't hate that. I have family that does that,
You
and
tried
they're
Jupiter.
really
That's
happy.
where my dad is. That's what my dad does, and
That's right.
he loves to call me. He's like, "Oh, it's a little chilly here today. It's in the low 60s." That's what he called me to tell me today. I'm like,
Yeah.
he's like, "You still got power, you know?" So
It's good
Loving
for
you
business
like
too.
only a father can. That's
Yeah.
nice. So Rob, last 72, anything of note? You're not dealing with
No
snow in Las
snow
Vegas.
here. 65 and sunny. Vibes are high. I'm still fucking stoked that USA won gold yesterday because I got up really early for that game too.
Oh
And
wow, yeah.
I'm used to it, man. I'm a Formula One fan, so a lot of those races are at like 4 a.m. Pacific time because they're all in Europe, Europe or Asia. So, and then what else? Good weekend with the fam. So we got one of those strollers, one of those running strollers. I put my son in that, and I ran him for 3 miles in that sucker. And
That's awesome.
that
How are
was
those?
a
I've heard those are
fucking
difficult.
workout.
Yeah.
He's not light, but it's kind of like you're pushing a sled that moves really quick. But dude, I took my time with the 3 miles. It was a good hour, maybe just under an hour workout, and it was nice out. So I highly recommend Cons for one of those. Maybe in the summertime when you're cooking with the family, you can just go around the block or something. I don't know. It's just legit workout.
Dude, my daughter, she's like antsy, man. She can't stick in a stroller for that long.
Yeah, my
Maybe the
son's
little
doing
guy.
this. He's turning
Yeah.
around.
That would annoy me to no end, like having to stop every other block because she wants to get out and look at flowers or
No,
something.
dude, they love it because they're going so fast.
Maybe, yeah.
I had like the Buco jogging stroller. I loved it.
It's so dope, and we got it on Facebook Marketplace. Like, instead of like $600, it was like a couple hundred maybe.
Let me tell you something. Facebook Marketplace for certain items is the way to go. Like certainly certain items I think you want to get brand new for yourself, but I think there is tremendous value because you think about we have all these products that you only use a handful of times possibly with your kid, and then you're never going to use it again. What's the point? Like I have one of those, and people have seen me in it, but the thing you wear when you put the kid in,
a Baby Bjorn.
Yeah, but it's, I don't know, some fancy pants company.
Like the kit. I know what you mean. We have one too.
It's expensive. I'll just tell you straight up. It's expensive and it's clean. So, once, if we have another kid or this kid.
I think it is a Baby Bjorn, yeah.
Once it's done, like, why wouldn't I want to try to sell that on Facebook Marketplace? And it's
definitely.
lightly used and it's a really high quality. So, I just think Facebook Marketplace is an interesting place. And it's also really interesting for like knickknacks and stuff around the house. I'm not one to buy things. I sell all sorts of stuff on Facebook Marketplace though. And I kind of treat it like it's a game. Like my wife's like, hey, we need to throw this out. And I'm like, all right, well, let me first see if I can get $10 for it on Facebook Marketplace. And people would say like, is your time not worth more than $10? And, I look at it like a game. It doesn't take much effort to put something up there with one picture, and then you kind of haggle with someone, and someone drives to your house. And that's $10 I didn't have before.
Bro, I don't have time for that shit. I just drop it all off at Goodwill, bro.
Yeah.
I like Facebook Marketplace, but I don't like people coming to my house. I don't like that.
I buy, I don't sell on Facebook Marketplace.
Was it on this show that we talked about where there's a town that sets up a meeting place, like in front of a police station?
That's
to
what
do
I would
Facebook
prefer.
Marketplace drop-offs.
Yeah, because I just get real nervous about giving my my address out.
No, that's fair. It's a completely normal concern.
Yeah.
You should you guys could start a snowplow business on Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah, I mean, that's I think one of those businesses where it could be very, very lucrative or just horrible, and then you're just watching your plow sit dormant.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Yeah.
Really quickly, so my wife was away this weekend. So, Saturday, I don't like sitting inside. When I was younger and single, could I plop down on a couch and plow through a series or watch a bunch of movies all day and be cool with that? Absolutely. Now with children, I don't have it in me to just sit in the house all day because, one, I don't want to just plop them in front of the TV and watch movies all day. And two, I just feel like they should be doing stuff. So we did one thing in the morning with my mom, and then in the afternoon, we went with this other family that we're close with, and we went bowling. Great activity for little kids. And so there was probably 5 or 6 families across 3 or 4 lanes. A lot of kids running around. This is an activity that this friend group does a lot, and I just kind of mooch on to them. And we had gone there before, and it was great, and Maggie really liked it. But so I'm sitting there at one point, and I call the name of one of my friend's kids, and I was like, hey, it's your turn. And this other little boy looks at me, and he goes, are you so-and-so's grandfather? Who are you? I'm like, wow.
Yes.
Wow. I know I'm like older than my wife, but I didn't know we were approaching, I look like a grandfather. So that kind of hurt me to my core a little bit. That was tough because, listen, that was that 10 or 11-year-old boy. That was just him being honest. I guess he just surmised
it. Older, like 10, 11, and he thought you were grandpa?
Damn, that's fucked up.
So here's the thing. Here's the only thing I could think. He knows the girl's dad. It's our friend. So he knows, all right, well, you're not her dad. So what does that leave? I could be an uncle. They call me uncle, but
what were you wearing, Connor? Were you wearing some crazy getup too that made you look?
Were you wearing a hat?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say maybe the bald head,
Yeah, no, I get that.
I
get that, but no, I wasn't. I had a hat on, so that was tough.
Did you correct the kid, or were you like?
No, I said no. I'm her uncle. So.
All right, real quick, going back before we move on, I was thinking about something with these snowstorms. Do you feel like you drink more during these snowstorms?
Not anymore.
No.
I mean, listen, I can remember some snowstorms when I was a single guy living in Hoboken. You couldn't get to the bar fast enough.
Yeah.
If you knew snow was coming, get to the bar, put on some comfy clothes, get to the bar, and hang out, and it's going to be a blast. Now, no, because if I'm locked up, not locked up, but if I'm home all day with 2 kids, I don't need to be dehydrated and potentially dealing with.
Connor, you have a newborn and a toddler.
I know.
Right.
We're just in such different life stages. But
if I were you, probably.
Ryan's going to the fucking bar right after this, man. She's like,
no, I didn't go to the bar, but I definitely.
You have a nice stash at the house.
I was like, snow's coming. I drank some tequila last night. I watched Love Is Blind, and yeah, I definitely got a little drunk. I was like, I woke up this morning. I'm like, shit, it's still Monday. I gotta work. Oh well.
I mean, I'm surprised.
Well, that's the problem. Is if you still have to work the next day, that's what's tough.
Yeah.
I guess though, in today's culture where a lot of us work from home, you can overcome a lot more if you don't have to be in person, I suppose. Yeah. So, anyway, all right. Well, solid weekend, and you know who was a solid weekend for? The United States men's and women's hockey team, who both took home the gold, and that was, well, let me first ask, did you both watch either or both of those games?
I watched the men's game.
Caught some of the women's, but we beat Canada in both.
Not only did we beat Canada in overtime, which is awesome. Megan Keller on the women's side, and then obviously Jack Hughes on the men's side.
Yep.
Both were with the game winners, and that's unbelievable. The big difference being that, the U.S. women's team, they've medaled in every Olympics since women's ice hockey became a thing in '98. We've consistently had one of the best female hockey teams in the world, and that's awesome that they've medaled in every single games going back to '98. But, I don't need to belabor the point here. Obviously, the men was significant since they haven't won one in 46 years. And then before that, you got to go back to 1960. So, on the world stage, the United States hasn't enjoyed that success. So for them to go into that game and by no means am I a hockey expert. Anytime I'm watching a hockey game, inevitably I'm talking to somebody who I know either played or knows the game very well, because I always have questions. But the fact that they were a slight underdog, it was kind of like a pick 'em, but they were still like, it was still, many people thought like, all right, Canada's gonna win this thing. So for the United States to get that win and then do it in the fashion in which they did it was just unbelievable.
Yeah, that first period, we brought it up 1-0, and then Canada scored. Those last two periods were our goalie just getting pummeled.
Yeah.
Dude, he was unbelievable.
It was just like, I was like this in our living room. I was just like, oh my God, like the onslaught is just coming. It was like Russians walking like the Ukrainian fucking front line and just getting mowed down. But our goalie was fucking terrific, man. And then Jack Hughes to seal the deal in overtime. I mean, oh, so good.
Yeah. So I think a lot of people also know the story of Johnny Gaudreau, who tragically lost his life down in South Jersey.
Yeah.
Was that last year, Ryan, or now 2 years ago in 24?
I think it was over a year ago.
24.
Yeah, it was 2024.
Yeah.
And for those who don't know the story, it's incredibly, incredibly sad. Him and his brother were riding bikes. It was the night before their sister's wedding, and they just got mowed down by a drunk driver and killed, which is just horrible. And then you add in the fact that it was the night before their sister's wedding. Johnny's wife was pregnant with his third child.
Yeah.
Oh, just absolutely gutting story. And it really, really ravaged the hockey community and everybody for that matter, just because of how sad it was. But I saw some of the players saying something to the effect of, listen, I don't know if you believe in higher beings or the presence of individuals who are no longer there, but that one save that Hellebuck made, they were saying that had to have been Gaudreau getting a stick in there from above, because the goal was wide open. Like, if you give McKinnon that approach 100 times, he buries 100. It's like, how did he miss that net that was so wide open? So we don't need to belabor the point here. We're not a hockey podcast, but
there was another open net chance for the Canadians, like Taves, I think. Taves.
Yeah.
But I was just like, how did he miss that? You know? But I love what you just said.
Yeah. And then, all right, and then obviously the post game is really where things heated up. I guess you could say it was really, really touching that they went and got Gaudreau's kids for the team picture on the ice. That really
that melted me. Oh my God.
I mean, if you weren't crying with that, check your pulse, because that was just heart-wrenching and just really stand-up move by those guys to know that they were sitting right there and say, hey, hold on, we got to go get them. And they need to be part of this. And Gaudreau's jersey, holding that up, skating around with it. I really admired that move from them. And then, Jack Hughes' love of country, and he was not quiet about it. He just said how much he was happy to represent the country, and he was incredibly proud. And for a lot of people, I think that really struck a chord. What did you guys think about his comments after the game? And then his brother thanking the troops
the other day.
from the clouds after, in the post-game interview. So what did you guys make of the Hughes brothers' comments after the game?
I loved it. I mean, that was the best moment for me, that like they just, I don't know, there was just something so, like, that's when for me, like, that's when you really feel like patriotism.
Right.
I don't know. There's just, it's like, I love that they were out there on the world stage. They won the gold. And then the first thing they're doing is saying, God bless America. Like, and unapologetically. And I think that's where we've kind of got a little bit lost as a society. And I know we've talked about this before, and we've talked about, like, despite all her flaws, like, this is still the greatest country in the freaking world. And we should be proud of that, and we should celebrate that. And I love that they did that. It was awesome. And I loved all the hype on social media yesterday. Like, I was
so good.
Oh, it was just so good. And it felt so good. I don't know. I loved it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, you're absolutely right too. Just seeing everybody come together is the best outcome from that. that we can all rally around that. And I had a tweet that I put out, and that was basically the crux of what I was saying. It's like somewhere along the way, it got to be taboo to say, like, I love America.
Yeah.
Like, again, you can love America and, in the back of your mind, also acknowledge, like, it's not perfect. No country on this planet is perfect, but America's pretty freaking great, okay? And it's still the best country in the world. So you should not have to hide from the fact that you love this country. And I really appreciated that Jack Hughes took that moment on that stage to say that and to remind people that it's okay. We can say, and he didn't even say it, we can read between the lines like, okay, there are problems in this country. Got it. All right. But I still love it. And just be done with it. We can separate the two, ultimately, is what I'm saying. It's okay to be that unapologetic American and have pride in where you're from. So many other countries. Watch the medal ceremony. How many athletes over the course of the last, 100 years, Summer and Winter Olympics, how many athletes do you see crying on the medal podium because they're so proud of their accomplishment and wearing their country's colors? That they all go hand in hand. So for him to be proud, that's nothing new to the Olympics. And the people who want to just rush and vilify him and say, well, what about this? What about that? What about him? What about her? It's like, just stop. Just let them have their moment.
Were people vilifying it? I didn't enter that side of the algorithm. I just saw oh, well, that's
there was a lot of people, how could you love a country that does X, Y, and Z?
Yeah.
Those people are never going to be happy.
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell them, unfortunately, but I don't know. Rob, did you feel the same way?
Yeah, I mean, guys, it wasn't just yesterday. It was kind of like we were brought on this patriot train from the men's and women's hockey team and all the other athletes that made up the Winter Olympics. The storylines were terrific because right out the gate, you had some of those athletes, I think some of the skiers, just say there was issues in the country, right? And then the men's hockey team, Alyssa Liu, bobsledders in the military, the women's hockey team fucking nailing Canada. Like, it just kind of wrapped up in an awesome high note of just loving America and a message of unity from across all the different athletes, all the different backgrounds. There was no bullshit. It was just love your country and just enjoy the moment. And I had tears in my eyes listening to Jack Hughes yesterday. He was one of my first athletes at Amazon that I got to work with when he was just drafted. And so I got to meet him a little bit. And he was kind of still unknown, but still making some firepower. And he's an awesome kid. And Quinn Hughes, I mean, he's so goofy and lovable where, like, I don't know how the NHL doesn't capitalize more on these two. And then the Chuck brothers, and I don't know. I'm on a high right now for hockey. And I thought Mike Tirico, holy shit, NBC. Shout out to NBC.
His closing comments were awesome.
I mean, wow.
Yeah. No, it just really wrapped it up very nicely. And actually, I have to tell, like, I found myself getting emotional as well. Again, I'm not a hockey guy. Like, I watch the Olympics. I watch maybe a little bit of the Stanley Cup Finals here and there, but by no means am I a hockey guy. And here I was getting emotional watching them win the game before they even opened their mouths and said what they said. It was just so awesome, knowing the history of the U.S. men's hockey program in this country and knowing what they had to overcome. And that's a monster monkey to get off your back, 46 years. So it was just really special to see. And not just the hockey teams, but all of our medalists. Yeah. And we had our best Winter Olympics in history. We finished second in medals, but we still did better than we ever have. But we finished second in overall medals. We had 33, 12 gold, 12 silver, 9 bronze. Norway had 44 with 18 gold, 12 silver, and 11 bronze. Listen, I saw something that said we should count, if you're a team sport, those should count as gold medals. So the U.S. hockey team, if we have 20 guys, that's 20 gold medals. They should start counting it that way. And if that's the case, we took home a lot more gold than anybody else. But it was just awesome. And I'm the eternal optimist. maybe we can find something here that we can all rally around, and we see how much we truly do at the end of the day love one another in this country. We have our problems, we have our differences, but listen, if you walked into a bar Sunday morning that you had never been in before in this country, I'm willing to bet you walked out with 10 friends, right? I'm willing to bet everybody was super friendly to you and you were all rooting on our team together. So I think that is still there. And if it takes Olympic hockey, both the men and the women, beating up on our little brother there to the north. By the way, Canada, very, very upset that they lost that game. The discourse by them on social media has not been good. But
we were the better team, blah, blah, blah.
I mean, I don't know hockey, but guess what? Scoreboard said differently, and I think that's all that matters at the end of the day. They don't give out medals for who the better team was. They get medals for who won the game.
So how does this Winter Olympics change your opinion on winter versus summer? Are you guys are you guys excited for the next Winter Olympics in 4 years? What's your vibe?
Go ahead, Ryan.
It's funny. If you ask me, you're asking me right after just really an awesome Winter Olympics. So I'm all geeked up on the Winter Olympics, but I like the Summer Olympics. I really do. I don't know.
Here's a take. For me, summer, winter it has to do with the time zone. If the events are on at a normal time that I can catch them and watch them, I'm all in. I'm all in.
That's fair.
But when it's something's going on at 9 a.m. when I'm at work, it's tough. It's tough. So
I think the Winter Olympics has more unique things to watch than the Summer Olympics.
For sure.
But I like I don't know. I like the traditional stuff, all the track and gymnastics. Yeah.
LA in 2 years.
Yeah.
Let's see.
That'll be great. I think that'll be really good. And then it's going to be in Salt Lake in 2036 or something like that for the Winter Olympics.
Oh, back in Salt Lake? Okay.
So real quick, and then we can move on. And people are wondering probably why are you not talking about the Trump phone call and the women denying their trip to the White House? And I'm going to be very plain. If you guys want to say something, you're welcome to. I'm going to say this very plainly. No matter what words would come out of my mouth on either of those topics, people are going to be upset and have a reason. There's no answer, nothing, no take I can give where people would be like, okay, that's a fair take. Because I've seen some fair takes today, and they're not treated as fair takes. So I am choosing to say I don't want to talk about that. I am tired of Trump getting inserted into everything and politics getting inserted into everything. I just want to see sports for what they are. So I will leave it at that. If you guys have anything you want to say about that whole craziness.
No, I Trump is not Trump. Trump doesn't represent what is great. All that is great about this. He's our president, but loving this country is about much more than just the president. I want to leave it on a high note. Like Jack Hughes said, I love this country, and I'll leave it at that. Right?
Yeah. Rob?
Same. The hockey team made us proud. Move on.
Yeah.
Bingo. That's it. That's all we need to focus on. But what I was going to say about Salt Lake, my buddy from the Army from Salt Lake City, he said when the Olympics was there, it was his senior year of high school, they just said, you guys are off school for a month.
Oh, fuck. That's so sick.
For a month?
Go watch the Olympics. Even though it was only 2 weeks, he said he got off for an entire month.
It won't fly now.
I was going to say that's never going to happen in today.
But I think that's so cool. It's hey.
I think it's amazing. Go have life experience.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. And it's not like the Olympics are in your city every other year. So
I agree.
It's once in a lifetime.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd pull my kids out to
Absolutely.
experience it if
Absolutely.
I think for the LA Olympics, my son will be 5 for that. I mean, I might pull him out 1 or 2 days just to drive to LA, check out soccer, baseball, flag football. I don't know, lacrosse.
Something. I think that's worth
lacrosse. Can't wait, baby. It's gonna
USA,
be awesome.
Team USA lacrosse.
It's gonna be so good. Oh, I can't wait.
I mean, we're gonna crush that shit though. Sorry, Cons. Who else would America
Well,
play?
yeah, no, I mean, I'll tell you
Canada?
that.
Funny enough, Canada has good lacrosse.
Yeah, true. Duh.
Yeah, but I'll tell you that they're going to be real challenged. Anyone like during the fall season, my daughter Maggie, who plays at Navy, they played Team Japan and I think Team England in their fall season, and they destroyed both of them.
Oh yeah.
And those were their national teams. My point is like the United States is going to dominate. Like,
Yeah.
I can't wait.
But that's what the sport needs to, if it's going to grow.
Yeah,
to put it on that world stage.
Yeah.
So, speaking of world stages, speaking of Trump, he said he's going to release the X-Files. So this is on the heels of President Obama went on a podcast, the Brian Tyler Cohen podcast, and talked about the existence of aliens in Area 51. So President Trump said, all right, well, anything you can do, I can do better. So he's directed the Pentagon to release any and all files related to UAP, unidentified aerial phenomena, and extraterrestrial life. So UFO speculation has been at an all-time high, and in the past years, a number of whistleblowers have claimed the government has things to hide. You think? So there was a recent documentary on Amazon called The Age of Disclosure, claimed the U.S. has had a secret crash retrieval program and is in possession of non-human biological beings. I don't know where, I mean, listen, Independence Day, the movie, played a really big part of my childhood, being that it came out in 1996. But I don't know. This doesn't necessarily get me that excited. Do you guys, are you big alien people?
I honestly, okay. This may be an unpopular take. Like, I don't want to know.
You don't give a shit.
No, it's not.
Yeah, no, Ryan.
I don't
want to
know. Like, I'm terrified. I don't want to know. And I think it was you, Connor. You might have put out a tweet. It was either you or Rob about like, we're not ready for this. If there is a bunch of
me.
like, yeah, and I could not agree more. Like, shit, there's just some things like
just leave it alone.
We don't have to know everything. Like
right.
It's like dissemination of information has gotten so like, as long as I know there are people that are working it, like Independence Day, like, we're tracking, we're monitoring, like everyone doesn't need to know everything. It's just going to open up a big can of worms.
We have so much to worry about individually. Like, I don't need to be worried about aliens on top of all that.
Yeah. Oh, but it was watching that podcast with Obama and it was just like so glossed over. That guy who interviewed him, it was like, oh, Area 51 and are aliens real? And he was like, well, yeah. He was kind of so nonchalant about it. He was like, yeah, aliens are real.
That makes me wonder what actually is in any of these files, because I guarantee there's more files that don't get released because they're like double secret.
Yeah, but then
top secret.
The podcast host, I'm like, you literally just had the president. Yeah, he moved on. Like I would have been like, whoa, back it up. Wait, you're acknowledging like the presence of extraterrestrial like beings, and he didn't even double question him on it. But
no, like I said, Independence Day, Men in Black, that's enough for me. Like there's people taking care of that stuff. I don't need to worry about it. I don't really get excited. Okay, if you tell me there were aliens at some point, like, okay, cool. And then I would probably go back to my day. I don't really care about it the way that some people do. I know it's a big deal for some people, but not for me. You know what's a big deal?
What?
The VA. And it was crazy last week because you know what's interesting about the VA is, from my perspective, you always start to see rumblings from these groups on social media, veteran advocacy groups. And my first inclination is always like, wait a second, like, let me double check and make sure this is true. But there was a new rule that said it would rate a veteran's disability on how well they function while on medication instead of the underlying cause for medication. So that could mean a lower rating for veterans who are treating an illness with medication. There was so much backlash and it was loud, and it was veterans groups, members of Congress who are veterans, official groups like, the VFW, American Legion. So they heard that, and the VA Secretary Doug Collins, he announced the rule would not be enforced now or going forward in the future. It was only in effect for 2 days. I wonder what could have possibly been the point of even trying to institute this rule, because Secretary Collins also said this is something that's been in effect since 1958. I don't know. I don't think this rule specifically, what he might have been alluding to is the fact that if you go for regular checkups to the VA, I'm almost positive, yes, they can adjust your rating if it shows that you've gotten demonstrably better based on your conditions and potentially adjust your rating. But I've never known anyone whose rating got reduced. I've only ever known people whose ratings have gone up. So that also sparked, I was shocked to see this, how many people hate veterans and hate that we get benefits. They were just like, what a waste of money. There's so much fraud. All the veterans are lying about their disabilities, and it's an industry that they're just living off the government's teat for the rest of their lives. Listen, I mean, it's all public information. The disability rates are all public in terms of what you get paid. I'm not scoffing at the money, but depending on what your percentage is, even if you're at 100%, I personally don't think it's enough to just live. It's a nice sum of money, and it certainly can aid you in your daily life, but I don't know anybody that just has 100% disability as a veteran and just does that. So, I don't know. What did you guys make of the VA announcement?
Yeah, I saw the shitstorm last week too on social media where I rarely have to put my phone down, but there's a few accounts that I had to mute, and then just some like conversations that I was just like, okay, this is stupid. I'm also not educated enough in the whole VA process to really dive in and give a take like you or probably Ryan will. So I don't know. It sounds like it was course corrected.
Have you gone through the VA disability process?
I have, yeah.
So, but then you know what actually goes into it. You know it's not like people are just checking boxes and this is all getting done in a matter of an hour.
It is so methodical, and it is so in-depth. And I must have had 10 or 12 different appointments over the course of 6 months. And then I got my rating a couple months after. It was very, very intense. And I thought it was spot on. I think I got the rating that I deserved. And, I get the support that I need. But that's all I'll say.
What do you think?
Yeah, it was a shitty rule that got reversed. So it really wasn't a rule in place for 2 days. It didn't affect any veterans. I think anytime you bring up VA disability ratings and it's like all of a sudden people act like, wait, veterans are getting paid. It's wild. We've had this conversation before, like, listen, in any organization, there's going to be fraud and abuse of the system there, and especially with an organization as big as the VA, there's nothing you can do to combat that. But the fact of the matter is that most of the men and women who are taking VA disability money is because they served and they deserve it. And that's the bottom line. The peanut gallery on the outside that likes to chime in, that's like super frustrating. They did that article a few months back that everybody was fired up about talking.
Right.
I forget who did that, but
Wall Street Journal.
Oh, was it the Wall Street Journal?
Yeah.
I don't think it was Wall Street Journal.
Or New York Times, one of those.
Yeah, it was a big publication just talking about like the rampant,
Washington
abuse. What was it, Washington Post? Yeah. The rampant fraud.
Well, because people also want to point to all these cottage industry people who have created companies or law firms that specifically do VA disability claims. That's not on veterans. That's on those individuals who decided they want to game the system. Because all those people, they're getting paid if the veteran gets a disability rating that's favorable.
Yeah, and frankly, some of those I've talked to many veterans who've used those. You know, they want to call them like claim sharks, but the fact of the matter is it is a hard process, and
Yeah.
not everyone has the capacity to go through the process, and sometimes you need a
Right.
little help and someone to help you expedite it. And so,
Yeah, if anything, listen, and I don't know how to do this. Sorry, you're not usually supposed to, make critiques without a solution. But I'm going to venture to say one way to bring any fraud that's happening to a halt, make the process easier, right? Because then you eliminate the need for this cottage industry of these people, these claim sharks.
I actually think that Secretary Collins, that is an objective for him to make the process more streamlined. And he's talked about that, and I've heard him talk about that. So,
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And if you're a veteran listening to this, do not feel ashamed. Don't be bullied into not claiming things because you think it's unfair or you think it's dishonest that you're claiming something. Go get what you deserve, because then you have all these people. Oh, the last like 10 or 15 years, it's been going crazy. It's like, well, what do you know? The last 20 years we've been at war, so there's going to be more veterans with disabilities that need addressed and get a disability rating as a result of it. Like, that's just simple math. So the people, and it's always these civilians. I don't know many veterans who are very overly critical of the system and think it's horrible. And if you're someone who cares about other people's, if you're a veteran, if you care other people's ratings, like, that doesn't impact you. Don't pocket watch on these other people. They have to live with whatever decisions they made and whatever ailments they claimed. That doesn't discredit anything that you have done. So there's no need to try to make it harder for your fellow veteran. It's just, I don't know. It makes me upset.
It's kind of a weird, maybe it's like my algo and like who we're friends with and kind of like that echo chamber we live in as veterans. But I feel like it's even toxic sometimes when something like this comes out. Like, not that I'm very educated on this discussion and this topic, because I try to choose not to be. I went through the VA process. I enjoyed it, did my thing. Now I'm living life, whatever, trying to be healthy. But I feel like, I don't know about you guys, but I feel like there's a lot of veterans that just try to make some noise around moments like this and just try to, I don't know, put content out to grow their own personal brands and try to just feed into the discussion versus actually helping anything or anyone. So anyways.
So, all right. Let's throw it to Rob's conversation with Preston Stewart, another good one, as anytime that Preston joins the show. As I mentioned at the top, a lot of topics that Rob and Preston get into that are very fascinating. Great updates from Preston. So let's throw it over there.
Today, I'm joined by one of my buddies, one of my West Point friends, Preston. I'll let him introduce himself here in a few minutes. But today, we're going to talk about some geopolitics, some foreign affairs, some international security study stuff. Preston is one of my go-to guys when I need some education on a topic. If it happened 2 hours ago or 2 years ago, he probably has a video about it. There's a lot going on in the world. There's a lot of crazy shit happening. And so I figured last week I shot him a text. I was like, yo, dude, I want to get you on. Let's talk 20, 30, 40 minutes, whatever he's got. It's Monday afternoon here. There's a lot of things happening. And let's just dive right in. So Preston, you want to give a quick, intro, who you are, kind of what got you to this point, why you're kind of blowing up on the socials, especially YouTube. And with that, go take it away.
Yeah, appreciate it, Rob. Looking forward to the conversation, man. I think the social media probably has to do with just ridiculous good looks is kind of what kind of what I fall back on. I think that's probably what's happening. So I'm going to lean into that. And we'll try to make this exciting, man, because the stuff, like you mentioned, it's wild what's happening right now. And we're kind of fortunate that we're having this conversation before aircraft are dropping bombs on Iran. I feel like that's going to happen any day now. But as a quick background, West Point, 2009, so a little before Rob. But then field artillery with the 101st, Afghanistan a couple times, got out, left active in 2014, little time, guard and reserves, and a couple of years ago, about 2020, 21, started making content about military history, and it's just kind of kept going, and I love it. My time at West Point was international relations and terrorism studies. Didn't really know that could be like a private sector job. I kind of figured you'd have to be in the government. But yes, this is what I do all day, every day now. So it's hard to beat, for better or for worse. I enjoy it, but it's times like this that are absolutely chaotic, where you're genuinely checking the phone, like, have the aircraft taken off? Are they bombing Iran right now?
Yeah,
no,
and for everyone's, not to cut you off there, but for everyone's awareness, the Mexican military went in to go capture a Mexican cartel leader. They whacked him yesterday. After the USA Hockey Gold, all that stuff on social, after I got through my own work mechanism, if you will, as a content creator, I went to YouTube, and no shit, guys, before BBC or before CNN, before any other outlet put out a cohesive, strategic, well-positioned video, Preston was the first one to do it. So this is the kind of guy who I'm talking to today. Is he gives a shit about the material, he gives a shit about the news, and he wants to bring value to people that are consuming content. And I can't believe it's taken us a year. We've been running Bold American for a year now. I can't believe it's taken me a year to get you on the show. That's my bad, bro. But your YouTube is huge. Your Twitter's popping off. Your Instagram's also growing. I love all the collabs we've been able to do over the years, over the last few years. I mean, people love it. Everyone loves you. You have amazing looks too. Let's dive right into it, man. What do you want to talk about? Should we go into Iran first? Like, what's a crisis that we can dive into?
I think let's start with Mexico. Mexico, and then straight over the cartels. Yeah. So yesterday, kind of out of nowhere, it wasn't really expected. There was no lead up to this. We got news that El Mencho, the leader of CJNG, the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, was killed in a Mexico military operation. Sounds like they went in to get him, and there was a gunfight that ensued. A handful of cartel members were killed. I think a few Mexican federal troops were killed as well. And El Mencho was killed as they were trying to move him to Mexico City. The country erupted. You started to see, I think they're called like cartel blockades, where they just burn trucks in the middle of the road, kind of trying to attract attention away from an area, and gunfights like across the country. And it's still going today. It doesn't look like it's escalated more, but it hasn't stopped from what I can tell. The U.S. was not directly involved, but it does look like the U.S. provided intelligence to one of the more elite units that we have trained and equipped and are partnered with pretty closely. So I'm watching the news kind of walk this tightrope right now, where we both want to say that we did have a role, and we certainly did, but it was not kicking down doors, or probably didn't even have aircraft to include maybe some reconnaissance overhead. But this is the guy in Mexico. So arguably the most powerful cartel leader. So the message being sent here is that if they'll go after him, they'll go after anyone. And that's kind of the stability right now, or the instability in Mexico, is all of these. I mean, it's organized crime, right? There's these levels of corruption across the country where it's kind of like, you do your thing, we'll do ours, and they play off each other. With El Mencho going down, it's kind of like for lack of a better terms, like they broke a rule. You're not supposed to go after that guy. Certainly not supposed to kill him. So that's the chaos right now. And we're kind of waiting to see if the cartels try to reestablish some form of deterrence. Like, you can't do this. You guys overstepped. But the risk they run there is kind of mobilizing the country against them. So it's where, generally speaking, it's not been a top priority. So kind of chaotic, to say the least.
Yeah. What do you make of the U.S. maybe not saying anything? Like the Department of War, Hegseth. To my understanding, Preston, there hasn't been even a lick of acknowledgement, or has there? Like, what is the U.S. position right now with the events that unfolded on the ground in Mexico?
This was great for the U.S. Like, I would argue this is better than putting troops on the ground and like risking their lives. Mexico showed that they could do it, and they did it. They took out the top guy. I haven't seen much. It sounds like some statements coming out of the White House and such is acknowledgement that we participated in terms of intelligence sharing. But it's a win. Like, this is a huge win for the United States. Like, first off, this is a bad guy. All right. So like,
terrible.
Nobody's mourning his death, not by a long shot.
And I think it was his girlfriend that led, right? I think it was like a mistress or a girlfriend that kind of, didn't the same thing happen to El Chapo? Like, there was a female lover involved with the takedown of the individual. The same thing happened yesterday or Saturday night, Sunday morning, to then have those events unfold.
It sounds like it, guys being guys, I guess they can't help themselves, and that's their downfall. But crazy. Yeah, man, this is huge. Like, it's such a, what's interesting that we're not seeing a lot from the US is because this is a win for the Trump administration, right? They specifically pressured Mexico over their handling of the cartels and have talked a lot about, not as much in recent months, but definitely towards the start of Trump's term, about kind of suggesting, are we going to have to do this ourselves? And you remember the conversations of, will the United States go into Mexico? And the pressure there looks to have built up to the point where Mexico had to do something and say, not only are we going to do our normal counter cartel operations, we're going after the big dog. I mean, this is going to buy Mexico quite a bit of time on the political side. So I think if I was Trump and people in his administration, I would be celebrating this as a win that they helped facilitate.
Now, what do you make of the timing of these events? We have the World Cup on our continent, Canada, USA, Mexico, in 4 months. I'm a soccer guy. I'm a diehard soccer fan. So, and I also happen to have a timeshare in Cabo. So like I love Mexico, but what do you think about the timing of this? Will this lead on to maybe more bloodshed between government forces, the military, some of those specialized forces that we work with, that we train with, and the cartel? Do you think the cartel kind of postures and just waits it out? Like, is there going to be a drug deal made between the government and the cartels so as not to have anything happen during the World Cup? Like, what do you make of all those kind of things?
So I lean on my guy, Stefano Rittendale. He runs the All Source News account. We had him on the channel this morning, and I just pepper him with questions. And this was, so I'm going to try to recite essentially what that expert told me. And the best way to put it is that cartels aren't stupid. Like, they're in the business of making money. That's it. And they don't want to do anything that's going to disrupt good business. The World Cup pulling out of Mexico would turn the entire Mexican population against the cartels. Like they've never seen. So, and it would be bad for business in a lot of ways. So the cartels are not going to attack the stadium facilities. They would not do that during a World Cup.
Right.
And they know that right now, significant retaliation could lead FIFA to say, wait a minute, this is too dangerous. We can't do it. That's bad for the cartels. So one of the possibilities is that they have a relatively limited response to where they don't want this thing to spiral even further. They kind of want to get their point across and go back to business as usual. So there is a concern that it continues to go. And if you're FIFA, you have to be looking at this saying, guys, like, major airlines canceled flights into a number of Mexican airports yesterday. That was real, right? There was reportedly some cartel members running around a couple international airports. I don't know if that was verified or not.
Right.
But it's not crazy right now to think that FIFA could shut this down, or at least make a public statement that they're looking at it. That might be a backstop for the Mexican government to kind of put a lid on exactly what the cartels will do. But that's the concern right now, is that kind of enough to, or one of the things that could keep them from escalating further.
Where does it go from here over the next few weeks, you think? Any thoughts?
Yeah, I follow the Stefano Rittendale rule here again, that it's business related, and they don't want to do anything. Like, the Mexican government is in a lot of ways beneficial to the cartels. The cartels don't really want to run governance. They don't want to do international relations. They're just a criminal network, a transnational criminal network, but they, in a lot of ways, work hand in hand with people that they have inside the government. That's been very beneficial to them in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
They probably want to get back to that. They're not looking to overthrow the Mexican government. So this isn't a matter of like marching to the Capitol and trying to like replace government leaders. They just want to get back to normal, get back to the cash flow coming in. So I would think that would probably lead to a reduction in hostilities. There might be some sort of significant attack, maybe a targeted assassination of sorts to try to reestablish that deterrence. You can't just go after their top guy and nothing happen.
Right.
But I think this sucks to say, but like they're rational actors.
Yeah.
There's a lot of groups around the world that aren't. They are.
Yeah. And for those listening, what is the landscape of the cartels currently? There's the Sinaloa, the Jalisco, and then is it those two? Is there another player? Like, do you see like cartel wars kind of popping up at all? Like, how do you think about that?
Yeah, this is into the weeds that I go to Stefano for. So
Gotcha.
CJNG, the Jalisco New Generation, is considered like the biggest right now, but they're also relatively new, like within the last 10 years, I want to say. So that's why this is such a big deal. Is this was kind of the most powerful, most well-known cartel currently operating, but they also haven't been through any sort of real turnover at the top. So it's going to raise some questions of like, do they have the mechanisms to, this isn't Al-Qaeda, where they've gone through, actually a bad example, they've only had a couple leaders, Islamic State, where they've gone through 17 different guys at this point, right? And we know that infrastructure is set up for them to do it. CJNG has one guy, had one guy at the top that really stood it up. So it's yet to be seen if they have the ability to kind of weather this and come out the other side intact. I did ask Stefano today about kind of intra-cartel wars. He downplayed that. He didn't think it was likely. He said we're probably going to wait to see what the internal dynamics of CJNG look like, and following that, you might see something. But immediately, he didn't predict anything.
Okay, so we'll monitor. It's always exciting.
Monitor the situation.
Monitor the situation with the Jeff Bezos meme. I love Mexico. I go once a year. I've been going since I was a cadet at West Point. I love it. It's incredible. I was stationed at Fort Bliss for almost 4 years. So everything that happens there always does keep me a little on my feet. Let's shift slightly. Venezuela. What's new in Venezuela? What have you heard? Do you want to talk about Venezuela? Give me the lowdown.
Listen, I think it's worth bringing up. There's not a lot to say here, but I think it's worth bringing up because it plays into Iran. And the Venezuela situation is like nothing has really happened there at all. Like we've got better diplomatic relations right now. Delcy Rodriguez.
Saw that. We opened up the embassy, right? The charge d'affaires is now in country.
So we've got better relations. Maduro's still here in the United States. That's going to be interesting. I have no idea what that trial and situation could look like, but I'm ready to watch.
Dude, that was only 7-8 weeks ago. It feels like that was a year ago, but it was last month.
So that's what I want to kind of parlay here is that is how Trump runs foreign policy, is he wants the quick wins in and out and move on to the next thing. Venezuela is like not resolved at this point. Like, yeah, Maduro's gone, but it's the same group that's running the country.
Right.
Like it's all the same handpicked people. Yeah. The cartels that were operating through Venezuela, like they're still there. We're still conducting boat strikes in the Caribbean. So like it's not done. But the capturing of Maduro, of course, like that was a crazy operation. It was made for Hollywood, right? There's going to be a movie about that. And we just move on to the next thing, for better or for worse, right? I don't know in some of these scenarios if it's best that we like, should we open up more State Department facilities in Venezuela and try to do something there, or do we need to kind of back out? But I think that's worth keeping in mind when we look at Iran, because that has been Trump's foreign policy from the get-go is you get in, you get out, you call it a day. Midnight Hammer, our last experience with Iran about 8 months ago, it was one wave of strikes, right? And then we had a big press briefing and it's been celebrated as this great operation ever since.
Right.
I think that's something to keep in mind as we mass forces in the Middle East.
And to your point, this hasn't just been for the 47 administration. This has been a thorn in the side for every president, but particularly 45 when DJT whacked Soleimani in right outside Baghdad, right? Or right outside the Baghdad airport. So like he's got it out for them, and he's probably just been noodling on this since 2016, 2017. And yeah, let's talk about Iran. What the fuck is going on? We got destroyers for days. We got warships just south of it in the Persian Gulf. We have apparently toilets stopped working on one of them. So the poor sailors are having an issue with that.
Sucks for the Navy,
Sucks for the Navy. We got every single fighter and bomber and tanker that you can think of positioned that way. Got the Marines ready. What's Preston's assessment about what's going on today, Monday, February 23rd with Iran?
So depending on which assessment you look at, this is the biggest buildup in the Middle East since X date. Pretty safe one is since the 2003 invasion of Iraq. Okay. It's kind of apples to oranges because that, of course, we had tens of thousands of troops crossing the border. So like there was a big footprint on land that doesn't exist right now. There's not really been a like troop buildup. There's been an equipment buildup. So we've seen a lot of aircraft and a lot of ships. Of course, there's troops manning that, but we're not seeing like infantry divisions or Marine divisions moved in the Middle East. So that probably means limited to no ground operations. Of course, special operations is always the wild card there. Be challenging in Iran, no doubt. We could move all of this stuff there and kind of pressure them to make a deal and then bring it home. I mean, that would be it would be an expensive use of our military, but it'd be less expensive than going to war. So that's technically still in the cards. The challenge is I don't really know what we're negotiating because the things that we are asking for and have continued to ask for are all essentially red line for Iran. We want zero nuclear enrichment. They view that as an existential, that is a key component of their national identity. That's for them, that's off the table. We want the removal of their missile program. For them, that's the only thing keeping them alive and stopping Israel from just destroying everything. We want them to disband their proxy network. Again, that's like a key component of their defense structure. It's off the table. I think they're all good. I want all of those things to happen. I'm just not sure that we're very close in a negotiation. So then seeing all this military firepower move in kind of suggests that they're gonna use it probably soon.
And what would that look like? Would that be a predetermined strike package on, their air bases, any sort of semblance of a nuclear program, any sort of, Quds Force, IRGC, whatever that unit is, installations, key political structures and buildings? Like what do you make of a potential strike?
This is where we get into the even more challenging when you look at the Venezuela operation, right? We got Maduro, everything else stayed in place. Don't really know what the desired end state is there. We don't really know what the plan is in Iran. Iran seems to think that it's regime change. Regime change is hard, man. I don't know that we can do that with airstrikes. I feel like that's probably asking a lot. Is it the nuclear program only? Is it the nuclear program and the missiles? Is it at times they've talked about the protesters? Trump publicly for the first time said more than 30,000 protesters were killed in the last couple of months. Just shocking number. Which one of those things is it? What are we trying to accomplish here? Like we could, without a doubt, and could have now for weeks, we've had the assets to blow up a bunch of Iranian missile facilities, to further degrade their nuclear capabilities and take out leaders across the IRGC. We could have done that already. We can do that even more now, and we'll be able to do it even more in a couple days, in a couple weeks. But I don't know what we're trying to get out of it yet. Right. Again, there's no like follow-on ground invasion set up for this thing. So it feels maybe like punch them in the nose real hard and then slide the term sheet across the table and say, how about now?
Yeah.
I don't know if that'll work. They'd have to be really, I mean, just put yourself in, again, we talk about rational actors, put yourself in Iran's position. The things that we're asking for that, again, I would like to see accomplished, because I think it's bad that Iran is doing all this stuff. They view that as like they won't exist if we take that stuff away. So if we attack them and say, now take it away, I feel like it probably reinforces, at least at the leadership level, of to hell with that. We're not doing, we're building more missiles, man. We're standing up. We're going to have even more proxies because of what you did. So it's hard for me to see the direct, we bomb them, kill enough leadership that they say, enough, we'll do whatever you want. But that does kind of seem like the direction we're headed.
Okay. And do you know what the terms are for any sort of peace deal at this point, or some sort of nuclear deal? Like what is it that we specifically want them to cease, or we want them to capitulate? Like, what is it?
We haven't really gotten into the weeds on that, which is another thing here. So like, we've got the muscle lined up, and you and I and the audience knows that they can't just stay there forever. Like, they're coming home at some point. The one of the carriers has already extended their deployment. Like, they've got weeks, months for sure, but like not indefinite. So the muscle is there to kind of influence some negotiations, but we're still in the phase of like sending proposals back and forth. Iran has said they have another one set to come like this Friday, I think it is. The only thing that I feel confident kind of dialing in on is around nuclear enrichment. If you remember, there was the JCPOA was stood up under Obama, and one of Trump's big things was doing away with that. And any chance he gets, he still talks about how bad it was. A lot of what we saw being negotiated last time around was like very similar to the exact, it's almost the exact same thing. And he caught some flack for that, saying like, you tore this thing up, went away for it for a few years, then bombed Iran, and now we're doing the same thing again.
You're right.
So I have a feeling that anything around their nuclear program would be a level beyond that. So probably the zero enrichment. But that gets very, very technical very quickly.
There's a Blackhawk flying by my house in Vegas. Always, it's just like, you know, you always got to look. Sorry guys. How do you think the Saudis, the Persian Gulf states, the Turks, like, how are some of these guys factored into this? Like, I feel like Saudi, Mohammed bin Salman, Iran, they obviously despise each other. They're fighting one another on the ground in Yemen through proxies, Sudan to some extent with UAE, Saudi's trying to be a bigger player. But at the same time, it gives Saudi almost like a reason to continue to develop and continue to posture and grow its own military, exert dominance and influence by having an Iran, right? It's like, it actually kind of helps them. And then there's obviously UAE, Qatar, you got Israel, Syria. You know, Syria, what the fuck's happening with Syria? No one really knows. Like, is it even a functioning state at this point? And then you got Lebanon and Hezbollah and Hamas somehow still there. Like, what do you make of all this like weird spiderwebby stuff, which continues to just continue to get even crazier as the years go by? Like, we went into Iraq, we thought we were going to save and, you know, crown the prince and have a functioning democracy and everything was going to be saved. And that's obviously not the case. Like, what do you make of all those relations and those countries next to Iran?
It's an interesting one. And a little breaking news is, over the course of the last couple hours, multiple outlets have reported that General Kane, so the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, has been briefing President Trump on the risks associated with an operation. One of those he talks about is the lack of allied support. I do want to mention, from what I can tell, it sounds an awful lot like the military doing their job, saying like, here's what could happen in the event of an attack. I think it's being presented as the Pentagon is saying we shouldn't do it. but I think that's people overanalyzing what is normally a conversation behind closed doors. Either way, more will come out on that, I'm sure. But the allied support is an interesting one here. So Israel is in their own bucket because they just want Iran gone, or a new Iranian regime is a better way to put it. So we'll set them aside because whatever eliminates the IRGC is good by Israel, and they want that yesterday. The rest of our partners in the region are kind of against it right now in a lot of ways. We really don't have anyone other than Israel like fully backing us and fully on our side. We've had countries, I don't want to misspeak here, but a couple of them, Qatar, UAE, maybe Saudi Arabia, that have denied our ability to use their airspace for strikes on Iran, or missiles flying through their airspace, which that's saying something. It sounds like behind closed doors, they've been lobbying for the United States not to attack. Now, they all don't like Iran. All right. So they are closer to the United States than they are with Iran. It's not that they're trying to save the Ayatollah or anything like that. It's largely, they would be very happy for Iran to implode. They don't want Iran to explode across the region and have a mass migration crisis as the government fails, and see these proxy networks stand up and the rise of criminal groups kind of taking advantage of that. That's not, go back to our cartel conversation, that's not good for business. Nobody wants that. On top of that, you've got in the short term, Iran, they can't hit the United States with any of their missiles or drones, but they can hit all of our regional partners. And we've seen before, they're not afraid to do so. Again, bad for business, bad for a country if drones and missiles start flying into your oil fields or near your airports, and you have to shut down international travel even for a couple days. It gives the look of instability, right? That's a concern. And then personally, I think something that, again, to go back to this theme of Trump wants in and out, I have to think that some of them are looking at this, wondering if we're going to be around long-term to help with whatever comes next. So again, none of them are fans of the Ayatollah. None of them want the survival of the regime, but they might be looking at it, wondering, is the U.S. going to come in and blow a bunch of stuff up and then just go back home and say, good luck, guys, this is your neighborhood, figure it out. Yeah. Which, based off of what's in theater right now, it kind of looks like that's what we might be doing. So the partner aspect is interesting. The best assessments that I've seen is that behind closed doors, they are all supportive. They're not going to veto the attack. And once hostilities begin, they would support the United States. It's not like any of these are on the verge of getting on the side of Iran. It's just, ideally you want all of your allies in your corner. It'd be great if Jordanian and Turkish aircraft were flying behind our bombers in fights with us. That's probably not going to happen.
Oh man, what a sight. There's some awesome images from Desert Storm in 91, where I think our Air Force was flying with Egyptian Air Force and Jordanian and Syrian MiGs, all against Saddam Hussein's oh man, stuff like that, but nowadays it's very deliberate. It's very precise. It's very covert. But this case not being so covert, I feel. So quickly on Iran, wasn't Iran building those drones that the Russians were using against Ukraine and Ukrainian forces? Could you talk about some of that?
Yeah, so it's the Shahed style drone. Russia, at the beginning of the war, purchased a bunch of them to kind of backfill their ballistic missile stock or their missile stock. Russia kind of rebranded them the Garan drone, but these are 2,000 kilometer plus range, so they're very long range. They've adapted a lot, comparable to a cruise missile. I mean, these are the size of small cars. All right, so people hear drone and they think small. When you see a picture they launch these off of, they can launch these off of pickup trucks driving, and it's the full length of the pickup truck as it drives. So this sucks. It's an incredible weapon. It's very inexpensive to make. 2,000 kilometers is very, very long. You're talking about cruise missile plus ranges. Not as accurate as you might expect, like a US Tomahawk, generally doesn't carry as big of a payload, but the cost is a fraction. And we've seen Russia put in a night. I don't know if they've gotten to 500, but they've certainly thrown more than 400 in a single night at Ukraine. They're cheap to produce. They're able to churn out a lot of them. And the threat there is kind of the overwhelming of any air defense asset. You know, they're generally slow moving. They're not all that hard to shoot down. But if you got 400 of these things coming at, I mean, an aircraft carrier, that's going to be a problem.
What was the genesis of Iran concepting manufacturing these drones? Was it for the fight in Yemen years ago, and then they just kind of trademarked it and sold it out to Russia and other people? What's kind of the backstory there?
I don't know what prompted it. It's very smart, right? So we have spent maybe like the entire history of our country trying to develop like the fancier and fancier missiles that can like speak different languages and go backwards. And they went the opposite direction and said, we need to make a lot of inexpensive munitions. And we're struggling with that a bit in the US, trying to figure out like, how do we intercept this stuff? We're starting to use kind of inexpensive rocket pods on fixed wing aircraft to hunt these things down and shoot them out of the air. Technically a Patriot can shoot it down. The cost differential there is like shocking. I think maybe a couple hundred of these drones to make up for the cost of one interceptor type thing. So it's a smart munition in what they've done. And I don't know how many Iran has. We saw hundreds launched in Israel during the 12-day war. I've not seen anything about their production facilities. They're probably not buying any from Russia at this point. Russia's pretty much just using up everything they have on their own. But it is a threat. Again, we saw the Houthis use these a couple times against Israel, but it was always like one or two at a time, and they're slow moving. You can see them a long ways off. Israel had no problem intercepting them. And when Iran did use these against Israel, I think every single one was intercepted, but the ballistic missiles got through. So again, it muddies the water. It makes it harder for the air defenders to see things coming through, and it keeps people up. The guys sitting on that Patriot launcher monitoring everything, when they've got one after the other coming in for 17 hours, it wears you down. And that's one of the benefits of these inexpensive munitions. And yeah, I mean, if we kick things off, we should expect that those are flying probably at some US bases in the region.
Wow. What's going on with Ukraine? Where are we with peace talks there? What's the status update on Ukraine and Russia?
Yeah, the peace talks kind of the big thing right now. No progress, really. There's been a lot of posturing, maybe is a way to put it. I've seen Steve Witkoff talk a lot recently, the U.S. envoy to all of this, pretty regularly says that we're close. And I don't want to throw cold water on this, because I do think any talks are positive and it opens the door to the possibility of ending this. But from what I can tell, there are kind of three major items that we've got: territorial control, really two major ones: territorial control, and then in Eastern Ukraine, and then security guarantees. So what does that look like for Ukraine? There's a lot of other stuff: lifting sanctions, future trade with Russia, rebuilding in Ukraine, all of that stuff. A lot of that seems to have been agreed upon, or at least they're moving in the right direction. And that's great. But the war isn't going to stop if the territorial control and security guarantees aren't resolved. And from what I can tell, we're not any closer on that today than we've been since the war kicked off. So the big issues we're having right now is Russia wants Ukraine to withdraw from the rest of Donetsk, which is a fortress belt, man. I mean, they are slaughtering Russians there right now, to the tune of 30,000 plus killed or seriously wounded a month.
Holy shit. And that's just trench warfare, just sweeping through villages and towns. What does that day to day kind of look like the last few months?
It's a drone wall. So there's a kill zone along the front between 10 and 30 kilometers wide. and it's no man's land. It is constant overhead surveillance from both sides, and when targets are identified, they're hammered. And because it's on drones, we have the footage for this stuff. I mean, this is long gone are the days of the Taliban open fire on a convoy and say we killed 17
L-shaped ambush.
Like,
yeah.
It's like where, man? We all went right back home. You missed us. We have footage of these guys, graphic footage, but you're watching every single day, small scale Russian assaults, 2 to 5 people trying to kind of maneuver their way through this open terrain and find a gap in the Ukrainian lines. At times they do, and they build up forces behind the Ukrainian front. It's a real problem, but a lot of them are killed on the way. And again, based off of like verified video footage, I think there's 35,000 killed in the month of January.
How does Russia, at a certain point, the economy, the social aspect, the men, the families, how does Russia continue this for years? Like, secretly, they want to wrap this up, right? Or is Putin just that fucked up?
Well, so there's a mix, because like nobody in Russia wanted the war to look like it looks today, right? Like this was not the plan, not by a long shot. But the way that it's developed is that it's kind of hard for Putin to walk away at this point. They've transitioned so many things to a wartime economy, and a lot of the force right now is made up of guys where this risk, I mean, a lot of them are dying all day, every day, but the paycheck is still so much more than they would ever get back home, and the bonus and the death payout, that it's still worth it for some guys to sign up. I mean, the majority of guys dying in Ukraine are volunteers. It's not a majority conscripts. Technically, the conscripts aren't supposed to be sent to the front. They are, but these are still guys that they're raising their hands. And that's a segment of the population that when the war goes away, those jobs don't exist. And then inside of Russia with the manufacturing, again, churning out how many hundreds of drones per day, that factory didn't exist 4 years ago. Now it does. They're kind of repopulating some of these industrial towns that were incredibly impoverished. So they don't want the war like this, but there are some unfortunate incentives for Putin to keep it going. January was the first month of the war that more Russians were killed or seriously wounded than were recruited. So more people left the Russian army than joined it. But to your question, how long can they go? Apparently a lot longer than any of us thought, man. I mean, their economy is okay, but it's hurting in a lot of ways. The casualty figures, I mean, take the lowest one you've ever seen and then divide it by half. And even then, I think we would have been surprised to hear that Russia is still putting up with this. But they are, and they're continuing to push. I mean, we're talking about their losses. They are making very small but steady territorial gains in a couple different areas.
So how does it play into the Ukrainian effort? Like how does the Ukrainian, smaller population, smaller country, deal with this continued onslaught of this Russian en masse of resources, men from Siberia, fucking way east, Vladivostok, that are just volunteering? How do the Ukrainians deal with that?
They're trying to innovate their way through it, and I think in some ways they are. When we step back and look at how the drone process worked at the beginning of the war, it was all about manpower, tanks, and artillery shells. And manpower, very hard to replace in a short period of time in a war. Artillery rounds, Russia has tens of millions, hundreds, whatever the number is. It's shocking, way more than we do. And tanks take a while to produce. That was the calculus at the beginning of the war. Every one of those was in Russia's favor, and it probably wasn't going to change, and it hasn't changed today. Ukraine has shifted the focus to be so heavily on drones right now, where that's the key thing on the battlefield. That is what is producing the most casualties in the battlefield. That is what is stopping the Russian forces in multiple areas. They couldn't do that with artillery. They couldn't do that with tanks. They couldn't do that with aircraft. So they've shifted the fight. They forced Russia to kind of fight the fight that they want. The new Russian defense minister, a young guy, I want to say Ukrainian defense minister, I want to say he's in his 20s, maybe his 30s, but young. Yeah. tech background, very drone first type mentality. And he has set a goal of killing 50,000 Russian soldiers per month in 2026. So the Ukrainian goal is don't go on the attack, very, very limited counterattacks, but set up a defensive belt where for Russia to cross, it's incredibly costly. And that's so far what we're seeing over the course of the last 4, 5, 6 months. But to your point earlier, like, I don't know if that's going to be enough or how many months or years at that pace it'll take. But for lack of a better term, they are making Russia pay very dearly for every inch at this point, more than Ukraine is, right? So when Russia's attacking and Ukraine is using drones to kill them, often the Russian attackers don't get within range of the Ukrainians. And the Russian drones are long range and they are hitting Ukraine left, right, and center, no doubt. But again, Ukraine is on the defense across the front. So Russia is seeing significantly more losses right now.
Now, we're going on year 4 of this conflict, correct?
Yeah.
This war. Where do you want this? Where do you want the year to end with a Ukraine-Russia situation? Like what is best case scenario for Preston by year's end?
Best case scenario, I don't think is even considerable, but I would like to see. I actually think that it would be viable to pull Ukraine into NATO. NATO is not this automatic death switch where like a NATO member gets shot at and we start launching nukes. We do have the ability to say we are going to go to war or we're not. So I think that there would be a way to pull Ukraine into NATO. We can learn from them with what they're doing. There's a lot that we can learn from what they're doing. That will provide the security guarantees when there is a peace deal that's struck, and I think it would allow NATO to beef up our eastern border. So put air defense systems, maybe even in Western Ukraine, and say we're going to make sure that nothing crosses into Poland, nothing crosses into Latvia, into Lithuania, to Estonia. Really lock all that down because I think Russia is going to keep kind of pushing their luck. We've already seen drones flying into some of those countries. Also, I think that's us taking the initiative back. We're in this weird spot where we're like not wanting to do anything that could upset Russia. And like, what world is this, man? We're the United States. They should be scared about what we do. We got to stop being so scared about what they're going to do. We have the stronger and the bigger military. We have a bigger economy. We have better allies that are willing to stand with us. Have you seen the Russian allies? It's like North Korea, man. They are tricking people out of Africa to come fight their war. Like we have every advantage. It doesn't come without risk, but I think one of the ways that we can stand up and kind of cement our place going forward is to say, we're pulling Ukraine into NATO. There's nothing you can do about it. Like Russia, you don't get a veto on this thing. And with that, I think we might be able to see some peacekeepers in the western portion of the country kind of locking down Western Ukraine. But I think that's a pipe dream. I think there'd be a lot of benefit there. And again, whenever we call Russia's bluff and push back, they back down. It's dangerous. It's scary. I know. I don't want to do anything that's going to lead to a nuclear war, but Russia has started a war and they are trying to see how far they can go before we act. And I think there's a lot of things we could do that would show them sit the fuck down. That is a far cry from a nuclear exchange. So I'd like to see some of that.
Why didn't we do that under the previous administration? Why aren't we doing that in this administration? And why the fuck, as a German-born guy, why can't the Euros, the Central Europeans, the Germans, the French, the Brits, just fucking push back a little more against Russia too? In rhetoric, economically, culturally, like, what the fuck, dude? It's so, I get it. We need to figure out our own strategy with Russia still. But man, as a German guy, I gotta tell you, it is upsetting to just see like the rhetoric from Merz and I was gonna say Sarkozy, Macron. And I know there's some stuff being done, but like, guys, it's in your fucking backyard. And Zelensky's doing his thing, but like, I wish the Europeans would kind of pick up their balls a little more and, just fucking own it. And also, I think it could be a strategic play on their end to then show the Trump administration they do have their shit together and that they are serious about this, right? It's like,
Yeah.
it bothers me that the Europeans don't do more. That's very. It's tough for me to see that.
Yeah, I think they're coming around. Like they're definitely closer now than they have been. But yeah, they've been dragging their feet. There's no two ways about it. Something I think about when looking at this is we look at kind of the post World War II order of it was paid for in American blood, right? Like we came out of that war and we created a world order that is for us. Like the way that everything works is what we put together to benefit us. And there's all sorts of like really rosy language in there, but let's be real. It's been a wonderful set for the United States. And that cost us a lot of lives. And this is not the same, but I think it's similar, and it would only cost money and equipment, where we could essentially purchase that influence for the next period of time, whether it's 5, 10, 20, 30 years, whatever it is. Because Russia's on the brink, man. If they actually had to go up against NATO, they'd be in trouble. I mean, they'd genuinely be having the nuclear conversation because they would not be able to hang in a conventional sense. So if we decided to flood the zone, get them whatever they need, and it's an investment. And I think it would be an investment not in Eastern Ukraine, but in Europe, and like taking charge, taking lead, and kind of reasserting ourselves there for the foreseeable future. Right? There's for all the back and forth and the frustrations we have with our brothers and sisters in Europe, like it's a lot of great economies over there, right? And we got a lot of stuff in common, and it would be great to cement something long term. And I think we could. I just don't think the appetite there is there to do that.
Yeah, it's such a bummer, man. What was it? 3 years ago, I was in Germany. I was with some relatives, and what was that tank? Was it the Puma that we shipped over? The Germans shipped over to Ukraine?
Leopard, maybe?
The Leopard. And we shipped like fucking 6 of them. And it took like a year and a half to get done. And all my German friends and relatives were like, bro, can you believe it? We did it. I'm like, congrats. You're fucking Germany. We're the founders of Volkswagen, Hugo Boss, Porsche. Congrats on sending fucking 6 tanks to Ukraine, guys. Like, cool. Like an army company can do that out of Fort Bliss. So just like that's the mindset you're dealing with in Europe. And you know this, you've been there. It's like it's just so surreal. It's so surreal. And I just wish, again, German American here, but I wish the Germans did a little bit more. They have the resources, they have the money. Now, what else is going on in Preston's land that he wants to talk about in closing? Like anything else you want to highlight, you want to flag? There's still 100 plus other countries out there, but anything else topical, top of mind you want to throw out there?
Yeah, I hate to let everyone else slide, but I do think we are actually on the verge of arguably the biggest military operation for the United States in 20 plus years. So strangely, like this is wild. And it's just like, I feel like this should be such bigger news. It makes me wonder if we're actually going to do anything. Like, again, we're not, no indication we're putting boots on the ground, but we're assembling the largest military armada in 20 plus years. And it's not like the leading headline in most places. We got a lot of other stuff going on, I guess. I don't know if that's an argument for, nothing ever happens and everybody's just going to come home. Or if we're just in a weird spot where somehow that isn't newsworthy. I mean, once the first bombs fall, it'll be big, but that to me is kind of the focus area for a little while here. I'll be waking up the next couple of days, seeing if anything went boom.
What does real quick on your creative process and the way you push content out, what are you willing to share in terms of how you operate? Because dude, do you have a bot farm at your house? How are you handling the swabs of content, but not just content, my man? You're putting out incredibly educational, high quality pieces of content. And it's only just begun. 2026 has only just begun. We haven't even got in Iran yet. How are you gonna handle all this, man?
I don't know. I love those compliments. That's gonna. I'll sleep well tonight.
Yeah.
It gets there's ups and downs throughout this. When the 12-day war was absolute chaos, it was a couple long form videos a day. And I felt like I didn't sleep for the month of June. But then there's other months where it really dials back, and you're kind of pulling out lesser stories, if that makes sense. There's always something happening, right? But I mean, it's just been a refinement over time. So I've played around with having some researchers in the past that didn't simplify things. It made it a little harder for me because I like to be able to add my own commentary and my own thoughts on something. And that's hard if I've just got a script from someone. So I'll generally try to focus in on a couple key areas and focus on some sources that I trust and ones to check in on and just kind of mark things throughout the day. And some days you wake up and there's enough things that happen. You're like, a video can be made on that. Other days, like, no, this is just, we're not getting there. Not going to force it. We'll give it 24 hours. And then of course, the next day, a Russian jet gets shot down and all bets are off.
Yeah. It's been incredible to see your growth too, as a creator, as a friend. Drink some water. It's going to be a busy few weeks, months, man. Thank you so much for your time, Preston. Thank you everybody for tuning in on this awesome interview and discussion about all the crazy shit happening in the world. But Preston, can you let everybody know where to find you on socials?
Yeah. So everything is just my name, Preston Stewart. YouTube channel is probably the best place. The most in-depth content is there, but also TikTok, Instagram, and X.
Awesome, my man. Well, thank you so much. We'll get you on again soon. Go Army, be Navy. See you guys. Bye-bye.
Sounds good, Rob.
All right. Thank you to Preston for joining us. As always, we appreciate your expertise and your ability to deep dive on these topics because it keeps us informed. All right. Any caveats that we missed?
Only caveat I had is just letting you guys know that Navy women's lacrosse is, I think they were ranked 12th last time I was on because I haven't been on for a couple weeks. They are now ranked 10th in the nation. So,
just cool.
You guys are so.
It's the start of the fucking season, right?
It's the start of the. Great, but they're 3-0. They're undefeated. You guys.
When do we play Navy and lacrosse? April, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So this is one thing I don't understand, Connor and Ryan. I wish Army and Navy men's lacrosse would do double headers like Army and Navy basketball do.
I know we've talked about this. Oh, by the way, Navy men's lacrosse just beat Penn State, which was a huge.
We just beat Michigan over the weekend.
I saw, but this was a bigger upset. So just so you know.
I don't think so.
Well, yeah, because Navy was ranked. We've been ranked since the beginning of the season. So.
Okay, whatever. I was talking about Navy women's lacrosse. I'm a proud mom. They're playing awesome. You guys are such haters. Like, yeah. So whatever.
You know what? If Army was due to at women's lacrosse, I might entertain this conversation. But they're in the top 20 as well. So whatever. Army's number 19th in the country. We're right there.
Okay.
And what happened in the wrestling match on Friday between Army and Navy?
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, that was very disappointing. We can talk about that, or we can talk about what happened at West Point, where you guys just got with our basketball, but we don't need to go there.
That was tough.
Fine.
Yeah,
Fine.
Exactly. Oh, I shut you guys both down real quick with that one.
I will say Army women's basketball is going to make the tournament this year.
Yeah, but Navy men's basketball is having like an all-time year. They're having a really good year.
Yeah, wrestling, that hurts. That's 2 years in a row. That hurts.
Yeah, I mean, I would think you, of all people, would care more about wrestling than basketball.
I do. That's why I just tried to switch the subject to, but yeah, that hurt. My dad flew in from Florida for that. That's
great. And it came down to, I'm pretty sure it came down to the last match, the heavyweight match.
Yeah.
It did. Yeah.
Which Army won.
We lost by a point. Yeah, it was.
These things happen.
Yeah. So anyway.
All right. Well, actually, one caveat, relative to Army Navy that came out a little while ago tonight. Coach Monken got interviewed. I don't know by who. Doesn't matter. And he said he would be in favor, if this was presented, to move the Army Navy game to Thanksgiving weekend, be it Friday or Saturday of Thanksgiving weekend. I hate that. I don't like it.
It would be outrageous on logistics and travel.
Wait, why do you? Oh, yeah, that's very true.
It would be a fucking disaster.
But why?
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
Outside of the travel, why do you hate that? Is there other?
Well, I don't want to. Well, so here's the thing. So the reason he gave, and I get it, he's trying to acquiesce to the college football playoff, and also rightfully, champion the case for Army or Navy to get to the college football playoff.
Yeah.
2 years ago, Army had a real argument to be in the college football playoff, given that, they won the conference and they were right on the outside looking in. He doesn't want to lose that advantage. And actually, if you get Army Navy played before they make the decision on who's in the final field, that could sway some voters, depending on how that game goes. So that part I get. The expansion, whether or not that's going to happen with college football playoff, certainly plays a factor because you're running out of time. You're running out of days that you can play this game and have it be a standalone game. If they have to add games, if they have to add weekends, I don't see a world realistically where Army Navy can play in the near future and that's the only game on that day. Now, I would point to this past year, there were other football games, albeit not Division I football games, but there are other football games on.
Yeah.
I think so long as it's in a standalone slot, that preserves the sanctity of the game. You don't need it to be on its own day because the game is played and then it's over. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's just a slot. I agree. It's just a slot.
And I think that's what President Trump directed last month in a statement. Can he do that? But
not for nothing. That he has no bearing on that. He has no bearing because guess what? This game's locked for the next few years as it is, and I don't know when they're going to change the college football playoff. It's probably not going to be. If anything, maybe it would be in his last year as a president. So I don't think he's going to ultimately have any bearing on what happens. That was done strategically by him.
Also, Connor, aren't those rivalry games like all those big rivalry games that weekend as well? So isn't that kind of his thinking too? Like college football playoff, but also it's the rivalry weekend, where all the Michigan State, UT, A&M.
That's Thanksgiving weekend.
UNLV, UNR, all those big matchups happen, I think, that weekend.
I mean, outside of the travel, which would be nightmarish because it's Thanksgiving weekend.
Expensive. Yeah.
Yeah, it is Thanksgiving weekend, that the rivalry week. Yes, it is. But here's the thing. I don't even want to think about the logistics. You're absolutely cutting into Thanksgiving break at two schools that are very notorious for not giving their students a lot of time away for time to themselves or time with their families. So now Thanksgiving just went from a 5-day break to a 1.5-day break, maybe 2 days. Because they'd go have Thanksgiving and then you get Friday maybe to travel. Yeah. And then you'd have to be,
or maybe the core and the mids get that whole week off somehow. And then they just,
I mean, here's what I would say. You do it Thanksgiving weekend and it's in Philly and that is the spot.
That's the spot.
Then I'd be all for it 1,000%.
I don't hate that.
I do.
Because I think it should always be in Philly. It should always
I like that. I would love if it was just in Philly in perpetuity. I would absolutely throw out all these RFPs for all these other cities because I've been to every other city that's done the game. None of them hold a candle to Philadelphia. Right. Philly, by far and away, hosts this game better than anybody. Whether it's years of experience, the way things are situated.
Yes.
I just don't think any other place comes close to Philadelphia. So I think we're going to have to contend with that new stadium in D.C. I think that's going to probably draw some attention.
Well, it's going to go back out to bid soon. We know we got New York and then Philly in 2027. And then after that,
we don't know.
We don't know. It's going to go back out to bid. And hopefully the city of Philadelphia doesn't screw it up like they did last time, because they royally fumbled that. And that's why we lost it. And it went out to all these different cities. So, yeah.
Oh, man.
But I guess, listen, ultimately, God, I've said listen, I think 86 times tonight. I think you have to consider the Corps of Cadets and the Brigade of Midshipmen more so than anything, more so than the college football playoff. And it would just completely disrupt their lives. And
they wouldn't be able to go home for Thanksgiving, most of them, because they wouldn't be able to get back. So I agree with you.
You know what's funny, though? So I guarantee somebody would make the argument, well, back in the day, like when my grandfather and my great uncle were at Army and Navy, respectively, they just didn't go home the first year. Not for Thanksgiving, not for Christmas, not for Easter. They just stayed there the whole time. So they'd be like, oh, well, they used to just stay there. They're lucky to go home now. I hope it doesn't come to that. I don't know. I think what's going to happen, I don't have a crystal ball. They're going to add games to the same weekend that Army Navy is, and they're going to find a way to play those games at noon and 7 p.m., and they're going to keep Army and Navy in the 3 p.m. slot by itself, and that's going to have to suffice. That's just the world we live in now, and as much as we want it to be a standalone day, I don't even really care about being a standalone day. I just care that it's a standalone time slot. Because how great would it be if game ends, you go out to the bar with all your pals, and there's a game on that you can watch.
I was just going to say that at my after party or something, you'd always only have the Heisman ceremony or like that AA championship game, whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like everyone, it's still 7, 8 p.m. when people are still going out, they're getting dinner. And then it's just nice to have another athletic event on the screen.
Yeah, and the college football playoff needs to be in prime time anyway. I'll give them that. So I'm okay with it being on the same day as other games. Just give us a standalone slot. I just don't think logistically or for the Corps or Brigade it makes sense to do it on Thanksgiving.
+1.
So, anything else? Did we cover it all? Did we got it everything?
Guys, I have a really big procedure tomorrow.
For what?
My colonoscopy.
Oh, good for you, dude.
Did you start prepping?
Yeah, I'm like...
You're talking to us in prep?
That's why I've been moving around, because
you got to take a shit?
I have to take a shit, and I'm like on a water fast, and I'm like so hungry. I'm so hungry right now.
Wait, are you doing pills or liquid?
So the laxative was it was this liquid saline, and then I have the powder, and then now I'm just on I'm taking some more of that, and then just water, and then Gatorade tonight, and then I'm just gonna go in tomorrow morning and knock it out.
But wait, did you oh, I didn't do that. I had to take all these pills, and then
there's a couple pills like Biscadil or whatever, but I already took those.
So are you all cleared out? You better make sure, because
Almost.
you know I have horror stories. I have friends who have gone in for a colonoscopy, and they're like, nope. And they literally wake up. They're like, sorry, you saw shit in there. You're going to have to do it again. They're not. They're not empty. I have a friend who literally, it took her 3 times before. Yeah. So just make sure.
All right. Well, tonight's the night. Got to make something happen. So.
Well, good luck and good job. That's good that you're getting that checked out. It's important. It's so early now. You know, you got to be preventative with the colon cancer is really bad.
Yeah.
Right now, for people our age, it's so young. So
that's why I'm doing it, guys. I'll let you know tomorrow.
Good. Smart. Last thing I'll say, I did see from the post game of the hockey that I thought was hysterical. So hockey obviously is very well known as a drinking culture. And they all had beers up on the podium while they were talking to reporters. Yeah. Rightfully so. They just won the gold medal. And there was a video of, I'm pretty sure it was Quinn Hughes, and he holds up his beer like any of us have ever done, looking at their buddy and pointing to your beer and one more, and he goes one more. I was just really impressed because the beer was still half full, but he was doing the math in his head. He's like, all right, I need one more because by the time I finish this, I need to have that next beer ready to go. So I don't want to wait till I'm done to ask for that next one. Let me ask for it now so it's ready to go when I finish this. So that was a pro move by him. I liked it.
Love it.
Shout
All
out.
right. That's all we got. Take care. Make it a great week.